Kombat! Hello, and welcome to Displaying Model Behavior, the Earth's mightiest video podcast, where today I'm going to be telling you all about Mortal Kombat, the characters, the action figures, and how to build the ultimate Mortal Kombat display, or at least close to that, because this is one frustrating line to follow, because we're so close to having everyone in some way, shape, or form, but we're not there yet. But you know what? I'm David, you're watching Displaying Model Behavior, and this is everything that you need to know about Mortal Kombat. So of course, the number one, numero uno, best line for Mortal Kombat has to be Storm-Collectibles, or at least used to be Storm-Collectibles. What's that quote from Rogue One? We were on the verge of greatness. They gave us so many characters and they were so beautifully done, but they didn't complete the line. Oh, it's such a heartbreaker. I'm going to take you through each of the main 3 games. I know there's been like 12, 13 Mortal Kombat games, but all of the main characters have been based around those first classic 3 from the 90s. So for the first Mortal Kombat game, we only have a couple of characters, and staying true to the Mortal Kombat arcade form, they're mostly palette swaps. So we have the ninjas. First of all, Sub-Zero in the full quilted kind of look. And all of these ninjas go for crazy, crazy money these days. But also, I would recommend, if you're feeling froggy, maybe exercise some caution, because they're also famous for deteriorating at a pretty prompt rate as well. So maybe just, observe from a distance. But we did get Sub-Zero. He looks kind of beautiful. And he's not alone, because in true palette swap format, we get Scorpion as well. Another one of the quilted ninjas, looking the business. A very, very nice version. And then to round out the trio, we've got Reptile as well. Look to the Luna. Look to La Luna. That was it. I remember there were all those different little subtle hints as to how to find Reptile. One of them being if you had to win a game without blocking or taking damage while something went across the moon. It was a fun little time in the 90s when there was no internet. So you just had to get things from magazines and rumors on the schoolyard. So Scorpion, Sub-Zero, and Reptile, those are your 3 ninjas, and that's it. As far as the main roster of characters from Mortal Kombat, the original, is concerned. Luckily, though, we do also get one big beastie boss boy, Goro. This was the figure that actually made me decide, you know what? It's time to start collecting Storm Mortal Kombat figures, because this dude is incredible. I can understand why maybe they couldn't finish off the license, because they were like, doesn't matter how many of these things we sell, we still can't afford to keep making them because we're putting too much work in. The Goro from Storm-Collectibles is an absolute labor of love. And it's not just a case of taking what was the stop motion animation puppet and then redoing it. I don't think that would look so good, because actually when you play the game, that Goro, he looks kind of janky, but they've taken all the different best elements of these different interpretations of the original Mortal Kombat Goro and then done that in action figure form. And even though there is some debate to be had about Storm-Collectibles and whether or not their 1/12 scale is true 1/12 scale, it's not, but that does mean that some of their characters, well, the humans are too big. They're more like McFarlane, they're more like 7-inch, but the monsters, oh, I don't care. They can be as big as they want to be. So the huge, big, half human, half dragon, all badass Goro. So Goro, absolutely fantastic. If we've only got a couple of characters from the main roster, at least what we also got was the most iconic big boss from the entire franchise, and he is absolutely spectacular. Mortal Kombat 2. So now let's really start cranking out the characters, because Mortal Kombat 2, that's the closest roster we have to being completed. That's also what makes it such a heartbreaker. So let's go. First of all, Liu Kang. And I do believe, I'll have to double check, I think there is a McFarlane Toys Liu Kang of his classic Mortal Kombat 2 gear, but we're not going to talk about that. Why would we, if it does exist? when we've got the Storm-Collectibles one, which is everything that it could possibly be and arguably a little too much. What I mean by that is you could only buy him if you got the super duper deluxe set with his dragon fatality animality in there. Actually, just to be pedantic, his dragon fatality is not an animality. That's something different, but you know what I mean. And it looks incredible. Unfortunately, while Goro was the figure that made me decide I got to collect this line, this was the figure that made me decide, you know what? I'm out. Because if it was just Liu Kang on his own, I could have just about justified that price. But with the dragon as well, it was a bridge too far. I'm like, I kind of keep doing this. Wish I had though, because he looks amazing. Plus, I do believe there was a Player 2 version as well, which had Liu Kang in his blue, but also a fiery version of the dragon. Either one of those, so great. And it goes to show when they wanted to go all in with these figures, they went all in. Then from Storm, we've got Kung Lao. And Kung Lao is a funny one. He's another good figure, but also somewhat shows what I feel is a little bit of the jank of Storm-Collectibles' Mortal Kombat line as well, because he felt kind of thick, a bit fat. There's something I like about the rubber material that they're made of. It does allow more articulation, more movement and bendability, I guess you could call it. But in other places, it's a bit too thick and padded. His sash body piece, whatever it is, it felt very kind of restrictive. And also his legs, they didn't pose very well. He felt just a bit awkward. So even though it was great to have a Kung Lao, who of course, like all the Storm Arenas figures, has loads of accessories and fatalities and special accoutrements that he comes with, he didn't feel like one of their best offerings. So now we've got our first ninja of the game, and it's Reptile. So of course we did have the quilted style Reptile from the Mortal Kombat 1 style, and I'll be the first to admit, it's not too clear in my mind what the quilted ninja look is meant to hearken to more, whether it is the first game or the second game. The second game, of course, does have a slightly different kind of vibe to the costume. I think it must be the first game, because the masks on the second game have more of a, honestly, like a dirt bike mask kind of look, with some lines and all sorts of more details on there, whereas the initial ones are much more classic ninja, where it's just material. So I would dare say, in that regard, I don't think we have a Mortal Kombat 2 classic style Reptile. If we do get a quilted green one, that would go more as the secret character from Mortal Kombat 1. But you don't got to worry about that, because once again, McFarlane Toys coming in clutch. You know what? I think I might have to just take a little walk outside and reset my mind after saying so many nice things about McFarlane Toys. But I actually genuinely really kind of like their ninjas. I think the details they've done with the quilted costumes look genuinely good. And McFarlane doing what they do. There's a whole bunch of repaints as well, where you can get the bloody versions also. Plus there are some 2-packs. They're milking that license. But hey, I'm not going to complain about having more Mortal Kombat content. And just like Reptile, we have Sub-Zero once again in the quilted Mortal Kombat OG version. So to get an updated Mortal Kombat 2 version of his ninja gear, once again, you would have to go McFarlane. Even though you could totally fudge in the Storm-Collectibles ones as this version of Sub-Zero. If you want to go really accurate, you could go for Mortal Kombat from McFarlane, and that's going to be a heck of a lot cheaper than buying one of those old Storm-Collectibles ones on the second-hand market. So that figure is out there. Plus, I think he's got the 2-pack treatment as well, so you could get some different accessories depending on what form you want to buy him. But I guess the reason I like these ninjas the most out of McFarlane's offerings is because they are mostly fully covered. So you don't see the human proportion so much to give it that lanky McFarlane jank. They're all hidden under the lovely ninja gear that sort of disguises a lot of sins. Then we got poor old Shang Tsung, who gets no love from either of the companies. I dare say there aren't any modern Shang Tsung figures out there at all. It seems like Storm-Collectibles were in no hurry to get to Shang Tsung, and certainly this form, this version of him, nah, I guess maybe not toyetic enough. I would have loved the old school withered Lo Pan style, like you know he's kind of based on Big Trouble in Little China looking kind of guy. I think that floating version of Shang Tsung from the first game would have been great fun to have had. But no, we didn't get any, so until McFarlane steps up, which fingers crossed, he will do at some point, you're going to have to wait for a Shang Tsung figure. KITANA, the Princess of Edenia, is one of those frustrating ones that was so close to being made. We saw the prototypes, we even saw the painted versions. I think they were on display as well, but they never came to fruition from Storm-Collectibles. Once again though, the Todd father is coming in clutch with the McFarlane versions. And as I said before, being the taller McFarlane stature, they can fit with the Storm-Collectibles pretty well. So even though they're not as highfalutin and bells and whistles as the Storm-Collectibles versions, you can at least still get yourself a KITANA. Jackson Briggs, whether it's metal arms or bare arms, you got neither. And again, that's one that's a real shame as well. That would have been great to have added up some variety to the displays, but no, Storm-Collectibles, I don't think we even got a prototype version of Jax. I guess he was on the back burner for a while, and it was never even close to fruition. Nothing from McFarlane yet either. No hints or suggestions, but I think what Todd wants to do is get out all of the existing ones in as many variants and repaints and 2-pack varieties as possible. Then once everyone has bought every different version, then we can move on to the rest of the roster. So all you Jax fans, just hang tight. Hopefully one day, someone is going to do that dude justice. A real fan favorite is Mileena, and just like KITANA, we were that close, but it never happened. And she's such a hugely popular character. It is bonkers that Storm-Collectibles never got around to making her. They could have printed some money, but it wasn't meant to be. However, McFarlane, once again, I think that was part of the first round of McFarlane figures. He knows how to give the people what they want. So there is a McFarlane Mileena you can pick up, and at least you'll have some representation in your Mortal Kombat 2 display. Now, a character that genuinely made me a little unsettled as a kid, because I'm a big baby, Baraka. There was something about just the rows of razor teeth and those black pits of eyes that even in the 2D digitized arcade cabinet, I was like, nope, don't like that. But the Storm-Collectibles Baraka, whew, oh yeah, I like that. They did a fantastic job. But again, a couple of model behavior caveats as well. I gotta do a little compliment sandwich sometimes. Baraka's great, bottom line. But again, the rubber used for his costume that's supposed to kind of simulate cloth goods, it's too thick. That's the problem. I know that it would have jacked up the price even more if they threw in different material, different types of cloth or a thinner plastic. I don't know. Maybe they had to draw the line somewhere, but he just sort of feels a bit stiff. Almost like the material he's wearing, if it was material, it'd be like a thick judo kind of gi as opposed to a lighter material. And it just takes away from some of the dynamism of the character. Luckily, his blades look awesome. The face sculpts are incredible and a whole bunch of gore effects as well. It's the last Baraka you'll ever need. And because he's one of the more modern characters that they put out, he's not too difficult to find either. Scorpion, the franchise character of Mortal Kombat, at least I feel he is. We got quite a few Scorpions from Storm-Collectibles, but I do believe it was the San Diego Comic-Con Scorpion that most resembles this Mortal Kombat 2 version. So that has the more detailed mask that gives it this kind of iteration of the ninja style. Plus, this one had some great fire effects as well. This was my Scorpion that I had, and for the longest time, he was one of my favorites. So I think with that being the case, it might only be Scorpion that has what is technically a Mortal Kombat 2, and Mortal Kombat 3 look for the character. And if that is the case, then of course it is, because it's Scorpion. Then finally, for the main roster of Mortal Kombat 2, it is Raiden. And Raiden, he got the Storm-Collectibles treatment, thank goodness. In fact, I think they doubled up with a player 2 as well. So you could either have the blue or you could have the red. And like Kung Lao and like Baraka and possibly a couple of others, he also has that thickness to him, which does limit the mobility just a touch. He's still a really fun character. He looks the business, especially like all of them. You can put them just in their classic fight stance and at a 2D kind of plane. It just looks great. It just takes me back to the bowling alley arcades where I used to play this. And then we got the two bosses of Mortal Kombat and Storm-Collectibles. You've done it again. First of all, Kintaro. When we got Goro, I thought to myself, there's no way. There's no way they're going to do Kintaro because Goro is big enough. They can't go even bigger. They did. They went even bigger. They gave us Kintaro, and he is glorious. So great. A giant four-armed tiger monster. I don't need to sell this to you any further. I do wonder if McFarlane are going to go for some of the bosses, because they do their mega figures. And I will always say, McFarlane, mechs and monsters is what they do best. So if you wanted to get away from the human Uncanny Valley jankiness and just go for some big, badass outworld monsters, oh, that would be amazing. But hey, we don't need him to do that, because honestly, I don't think you could ever top what Storm-Collectibles gave us. Absolute chef's kiss. Then we got the final big bad boss of Mortal Kombat 2. It is Shao Kham. You will die. And again, Storm-Collectibles nailed it. They knocked it out of the park with this dude, especially with the huge big throne that he comes with as well. Oh, be still my beating heart. I will say also we do have the more modern Mortal Kombat 10 version as well. I think it was 10, wasn't it? That also looks absolutely insane. Same goes for Goro as well. They jumped ahead a few years to give us some newer, more modern versions of these characters. Like I said for this video, I'm just sticking to the original 90s games right here. That's where the sweet spot is for my nostalgia. But there's Shao Kham, just a great recreation of what was in the game, even to the point where he's actually a little stumpy in his proportions. No disrespect to the actor who played Shao Kham for the digitization. But he's not a very tall actor. I mean, that comes with bodybuilders. The best bodybuilders are quite short. You know, shorter limbs make it easier to get jacked. That's my excuse for not being jacked. I'm like, oh no, my limbs are too long. Yeah, that and the rest, Dave. That sounded weird. Anyway, their Shao Kham was really great. Yeah, except some of the material is too rubbery. I found that with some of the armor pieces, if they pop off, you're going to have a hard time popping them back on because the rubber just won't stick into the holes, and oh, that was a little frustrating. But besides that, he is fantastic. And now it's time for the final game of the original trilogy, Mortal Kombat 3, but I'm going to throw in a few extra characters that appeared in the collected versions, like Mortal Kombat Gold, and of course Mortal Kombat, the Ultimate Mortal Kombat, that's what it was called, because we do have a few extra ninjas that can't go unaccounted for. But first of all, we got the cyberized versions. So kicking things off, Cyrax. So I'm going to include Cyrax and Sector in this little segment, because guess what? They're both absolutely phenomenal. And just for good measure, I'm going to throw in Smoke as well, because yes, this is the game now where we collect all the different ninjas together. So anyone that you're thinking, hey Dave, you didn't mention this guy? I'm about to, because Smoke has a couple of different versions. He's got the cyber version, and he's got the Mortal Kombat OG repaint quilted ninja look as well. That one, like all the quilted ninjas, crazy expensive. But the cyber versions, not so hard to find, but they do look so great. I think mainly because they can mirror the game sprites so much more easily. Because you're not recreating a human face or anything, it's all just this real world costume prop armor that they've put together. So doing that in action figure form, super easy, barely an inconvenience. So you got the beautiful cherry red of Sector, the yellow of Cyrax, or you've got the cool chrome gray of Smoke. All those ninjas together look the business. I dare say they might actually be my favorites from my collection. So looking at the character select screen, I did actually jump ahead when I started doing the cyber ninjas. Let's go back, because I'm not a frog and you're not a rabbit, so we're not going to jump ahead. Kitana, Princess Kitana, this time rocking a slightly different look, which hasn't been done by Storm-Collectibles or McFarlane yet. I'm hoping that McFarlane are actually showing a bit more discipline and focus. They're saying, nope, we're just going to do MK2. then we can move on. So to be honest, I actually prefer the more classic, basic look of the Mortal Kombat 2 Kitana, so I'm glad that we've got that. But if they wanted to complete that roster, then move on to MK3, I've got no doubt folks would be more than happy to buy her again. For Mortal Kombat 3 Reptile, that was one that Storm-Collectibles were happy to do, and of course that opens the door to a whole bunch of palette-swapped MK3 style ninjas. MK3, of course, being where they get the kind of segmented panels going down their ninja costumes. I love what Storm-Collectibles did with Reptile, throwing in all of his special moves, the force balls and the reptile head. Great stuff there. And of course, we do have the quilted version too, but this is MK3, so we got the more modern design, and I think they did a really good job with it. Sonya Blade, though, they brought her back as a playable character in Mortal Kombat 3, but no one has given us an action figure of her, unfortunately, and that's just really unfair. Considering how popular Sonya is, she's part of the original 7, and we still don't have her yet? Come on, just justice for Sonya Blade, especially considering the lady who did the motion capture for Sonya, she still does loads of promotional stuff for Mortal Kombat, and she still looks phenomenal. The lady's found the fountain of youth. God bless her for it. So we desperately need a Sonya Blade, and I think her Mortal Kombat 3 look is a lot more interesting than her original. It's got a bit more color to it. It's a bit more just kind of like sort of badass and interesting, really. So since Storm-Collectibles are no longer in the game, Todd, it's up to you. We need a Sonya Blade. And once again, Jax, conspicuous by his absence. Even with big badass metal arms, it's not enough to get him across the finish line, but I'm sure it's only a matter of time. Considering that McFarlane Toys don't have the DC license anymore, they gotta find some more revenue sources, so they need to double down on Mortal Kombat. So hopefully it's just a matter of time. Nightwolf, though, he got the full-on Storm-Collectibles treatment, one of the last ones out the door. So just in the nick of time. And the Nightwolf, again, like all of their stuff, it's fantastic. All the extras, the fatalities, the special moves, the blood and guts, it's all there. Nightwolf, great version of the character. Mileena, just like Kitana, nothing else extra to add. If you want her, we've got the McFarlane version in the Mortal Kombat 2 gear, which honestly, I think is the better look for her. For Scorpion now, like I said, I think he's the only one, and stop me if I'm wrong. I might be, but we've got Mortal Kombat 1, 2, and 3 Scorpion. This one is another really fun iteration of the character. Of course, McFarlane Toys have done the quilted version from MK2, but if you want the segmented look from Mortal Kombat 3, that's gonna have to be Storm-Collectibles. Kano, the one character who just steals the show from everyone else in the movies. Whether it's the 1995 movie or the modern ones, Kano just just gobbles up the scenery. God bless those actors, and God bless Storm-Collectibles for giving us a great MK3 version of Kano. I would love to see OG Kano in his white gear and his more kind of stubbly, weathered looking kind of face, because they really cleaned him up for Mortal Kombat 3. Yeah, they got the Bic razor out and made sure he was like a Mr. Sheen with a Terminator eye, and I do like the improvements to the costume. The black and red, a little bit more dynamic, but hey, you know me, I'm an old school kind of guy. But for your MK3 display, Storm-Collectibles, they absolutely smashed it. Jade, another one that you're going to have to go for McFarlane with. And maybe I should have mentioned Jade in the Mortal Kombat 2 section, because even though she's not a playable character or a selectable character, she was one of the hidden ones, wasn't she? I forgot about that. I think that's where Smoke first pops up as well, is Mortal Kombat 2. Man, I'm trying to shake out 30 years of Mortal Kombat knowledge here. But for Jade, yeah, no representation of her MK3 look, but MK2, that's where McFarlane are once again gonna have you covered. Hello everyone, this is a new segment I'm calling Dave Corrects Himself. In the next part of this video, I talk about how Smoke only appears in the Mortal Kombat 3 style ninja costume, which is complete nonsense, because he first debuted in Mortal Kombat 2, where he had the classic quilted look. But this guy forgot all about that. So bear that in mind while I talk complete nonsense about Smoke's appearance in the Mortal Kombat games. But still, I at least do make it clear but I'm not entirely sure. So if anything, I was right about being wrong. Does that make me more right? No. No, it doesn't. Now we got the ninja version of Smoke. We've had the robo-cyberized version, but you can go back to the MK1 look, and that's kind of a funny one because the MK1 version of Smoke doesn't actually exist in the games, I don't think, because his ninja costume is based off of the MK3 ninja look. But the Storm-Collectibles ninja Smoke has the MK1 ninja look. It's just wheels within wheels of conspiracies going on here, isn't there? So help me out in the comments. Like, if anyone's better with Mortal Kombat fashion than I am, let me know, because I think technically the Storm-Collectibles ninja quilted Smoke, we don't have that look in the game. Whenever Smoke appears as a ninja, he appears as MK3 ninja or Cyber Ninja. So technically, we don't have this one. But if you're willing to, play fast and loose with the chronology and the fashion, we kind of do. So just like I said for Smoke, the same can be said for Noob Saibot, the all-black, kind of badass looking character, the ghost or the spirit of Bihan, the original Sub-Zero. We've got the OG Mortal Kombat quilted look for the character, but not the all-black MK3 version. But you know what? I'm not splitting hairs. I actually prefer the OG quilted looks for the ninjas. The MK3 updates were fun. For the 90s, you're doing a new arcade game, you want to give them some new looks, but I'm a traditionalist when it comes to my ninja garb. So we don't have a classic-looking Noob Saibot from McFarlane. They did go on to do other Smokes and Noob Saibots from the later Mortal Kombat games. That's a video for another time. If we're talking OG, you're going to have to go for the very expensive Storm-Collectibles ones. Honestly, I'd hold your fire. Wait for a new one. Now one of the most controversial character redesigns from the 1990s Mortal Kombat arcade release, Sub-Zero without the mask, but with a badass scar on his face. I love this look for the character. I thought it was super cool, and I think that someone in Storm-Collectibles did as well, because they gave us a really fun version of the character. Half the space in the box was made up with the giant iceberg fatality freezing block that he does. That's a really fun accessory. But once again, I feel like the kind of human proportions and the suit and like the face, the Storm Arena faces, I keep saying Storm Arena because I'm obsessed with their Street Fighter line. The Storm Collectibles faces, the human faces never look great. I'll say that. There you go. It took this long in the video to get to it, but yeah, the human faces don't look good. They look like kind of cartoony, but not like stylized cartoony, more like, we can't really get a good looking human face. We'll just kind of go for something that's just not. So I wasn't a fan of those. It's lucky that everything else about the characters was so good that I was kind of willing to look past that. But yeah, the faces, they never really landed for me. Now we got Sindel, and unfortunately, we ain't got Sindel. Not from McFarlane, not from Storm Collectibles. That's one that one of these days we'll hopefully get, but like I've told you before, Todd, you don't get to move on to your Mortal Kombat 3 dessert until you've finished your Mortal Kombat 2 vegetables. So once you finish the MK2 roster, then we can move on to MK3, and hopefully we might get a McFarlane version of Queen Sindel. Curtis Stryker, one of the more maligned characters I feel from Mortal Kombat. I liked him at least, but we definitely don't have any figures for this guy. I think Storm Collectibles, they weren't even considering that. They were like, Jax, you're up next. Stryker, get to the back of our to-do list. That's not happening yet. So we're still waiting. I would love to see it, but I don't know, maybe because, no, I was trying to like spitball. Like, why wouldn't we have had a Stryker? It's no good reason, to be honest. So McFarlane, the ball's in your court. Once again, after you finish Mortal Kombat 2. Kung Lao. Kung Lao doesn't look that different in Mortal Kombat 3. He has had a character redesign, but not so much that I would say you got to be desperate for an MK3 version of the character if you have the MK2 one. Plus, there was a palette swap done for the MK2 Storm Collectibles Kung Lao. So if you wanted to have the different version with the mustard colors, well, that's also available. So if you want, you could put that one in your MK3 display. Another character who was so close, so close to being made, it was Cabal. And that's a real shame because he does look really cool. One of the more badass, unusual, outside-the-box type character designs in Mortal Kombat. I love the breathing respirator mask, bit of gnarly scars, and just all the gear he wears. It's a fun look for a character that we never got from Storm-Collectibles. We were close. There was one that was displayed, at least a prototype was, but they called it quits too soon. There is a McFarlane one from the later games, but I feel that design for the costume, like it's a little bit overly designed. But you know what? You could always fudge it in there if you want to. But as an official MK3 Cabal figure, nope, we're still going to be waiting for that. One of the absolute crown jewels of the Mortal Kombat collection from Storm Collectibles, it is Shiva. And this, just like Goro and Kintaro, they put all the work into making her look phenomenal. Considering that it was a stop motion animation kind of puppet that they used for the game, it means it's less of an uncanny valley when they turn it into an action figure. And the action figure looks absolutely incredible. The material is like still that nice soft rubber that they always use, but with so much articulation thrown into all the limbs for this character. And the fact that she is huge and towering, she really does just lord it over all the other main roster characters in the collection. She's absolutely phenomenal. Coming towards the end now, we got Shang Tsung. I always loved the pose that he did in MK3. I always thought that was kind of cool. But no, once again, a new look for the character. 3 games, 3 unique looks, no figures for any of them. But hey, he's a shapeshifter. So you could always put anyone in his place and be like, yeah, that's Shang Tsung. Kind of like the Invisible Woman. If you don't have her, like, yeah, I do. There she is. So Shang Tsung, no. McFarlane Toys, it's up to you. And then finally, for the main roster, it's Liu Kang. And we don't have a Mortal Kombat 3 Liu Kang, but I don't think that's too big of an omission. The one Liu Kang that we do have, yes, he's a lot more stylized after his MK2 look, but there's not a massive difference in the presentation of the character. So even though we don't have MK3 Liu Kang, I think we can be satisfied with what we got. Then even though we are at the end of the selectable characters from the original game, that doesn't mean I'm going to forget about a couple of the extra ninjas as well. First of all, we have Rain, Purple Rain, and we do have OG ninja costume Rain. Once again, though, I'm going to say the same thing I said before, where I don't think we ever got quilted costume Rain in any of the games. It was always the segmented Mortal Kombat 3. But you know what? I don't mind, because I just love the fact that Storm Collectibles gave us all the ninjas in some shape or form. So therefore, that's going to extend over to Ermac as well. I'm sure it would have been only a matter of time until we eventually got the MK3 segmented Ermac, but that's all right. In the meantime, they gave us the quilted look for Ermac, and just like all the quilted ninjas, as I've said before, they're incredibly expensive. And a lot of them are starting to show their age with a bit of wear and tear. So maybe just hold off one of these days, fingers crossed. McFarlane Toys, just keep on putting out these ninjas. I mean, hey, you've made the bodies. Now you just got to slap a new paint of coat on them, and you're going to be good to go. So eventually, it's just a matter of time until we get Rain and Ermac to join the rest of the roster. Now we have our last, final, big, huge, honking, chonking sub-boss character, Motaro. What a bold choice this was for the MK team to just go, yeah, shall we try doing a character with 4 legs? Let's do it. We did it on 4 arms. We'll do 4 legs. It's a natural transition. And Storm Collectibles, once again, like if I was wearing a hat, I'd take it off to you guys, because you just went, let's go crazy. Let's do a giant centaur horseman and box him and package him up and ship him out and see if anyone wants him. Well, I think a lot of people did, myself included. I loved Motaro. Such an amazing, amazing figure. Because like with all of their Mortal Kombat figures, they just went all in. They were like, yeah, let's just do exactly what it is. And they did, and it looked phenomenal. And since Shao Kham is once again the main boss for the game, and they did just reuse the original Shao Kham asset, that means that by my accounting, that does it for all of the existing action figures for the 3 original 1990s Mortal Kombat games. But folks, What do you think about the offerings that we have? Who are you most heartbroken about that we didn't get the chance to add to the collection? And who are you hoping that we're going to see next? Comment below and let me know. And if you enjoyed this video, a little thumbs up would go a long way to helping out the channel. And if you wanted to become a channel member, then you can tell me your feedback about this video in the channel member live streams. So gang, thank you so much for watching. And until next time, keep displaying model behavior.
Baraka.